Have you ever had one of those moments that shift something inside you forever? Not because of what you did, but because of what you suddenly felt, what you realized about yourself. That's what happened to me the night my son brought his 3 friends over. If I could go back, maybe I would have shut the door and said, "Not tonight." But I didn't. And now, I'll never see myself the same way again. For years, I lived as if invisible. People saw me as Aaron's mom, or the woman who runs the bake sale, or the neighbor who waters her flowers too much. No one saw me, the woman underneath, the one who still craved being noticed, being admired, being desired. I had tucked that part of myself away long ago, convincing myself it wasn't needed anymore. But when you've been invisible long enough, the first spark of attention feels like oxygen. Aaron was turning 21 that weekend. I was excited for him, proud, even. His closest friends were coming over, boys I had known since they were teenagers fumbling through high school. Back then, they were lanky, awkward, always raiding my fridge and laughing too loud. But that night, when the doorbell rang and I opened the door, I wasn't looking at boys anymore. I was looking at men. James was first, tall, broad-shouldered, with a grin that had lost its teenage mischief and settled into something confident. He looked me over slowly, not in a way that felt disrespectful, but in a way that made my skin prickle. "Wow," he said with a little smile, "you look amazing, Mrs. K." Then came Theo, charming as always, but now with a deeper voice, a stronger build. He pulled me into a hug, his hand brushing the small of my back as if by accident, though I wasn't sure it was. "Can't believe Aaron kept you hidden from us all these years," he teased. And finally, Liam, quieter than the others, steady, watchful. He didn't say much, just met my gaze with an intensity that made my heart trip over itself. His eyes lingered on me, and for a second, it was like he saw right through the layers I'd built around myself. The night carried on as it always did, laughter around the dinner table, glasses clinking, stories retold. But beneath the normalcy, there was something else. James holding eye contact a beat too long. Theo's compliments drifting dangerously close to flirtation. Liam's silence, his eyes rarely leaving me. I told myself I was imagining it. But deep down, I knew I wasn't. After dinner, the boys went outside, leaving me alone in the kitchen. I was grateful for the quiet, for a moment to breathe. But then James slipped back in, drying his hands on a towel. "You shouldn't be doing this by yourself," he said, picking up a dish to dry beside me. "I don't mind." I smiled, brushing it off, but when I looked at him again, he wasn't smiling. His eyes were serious. "You really don't know how stunning you are, do you?" The words landed heavier than I expected. I turned, stunned, searching his face for a joke, but there wasn't one. He meant it. Later, I curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, the hum of music in the background. Theo appeared, sliding down next to me far too close. "You're not what I expected," he murmured. "You've got this whole vibe, warm, sexy, kind of dangerous." I laughed, brushing him off, but my pulse betrayed me. "Go back outside, Theo." He smirked, leaning back. "You sure you want me to?" I didn't answer. At some point, I drifted back into the kitchen, needing air, needing space. That's where I found Liam, leaning against the counter with a glass of water. "I needed some quiet," I told him. He nodded. "Me too." For a long moment, we just stood there, the silence thick with something unspoken. Finally, he said softly, "You do a lot, you know. You make everything feel like home." Those words didn't feel like flattery. They felt like truth. And they sank into a part of me I hadn't let anyone touch in years. The next morning, the house was quiet. Aaron had gone out for brunch with his friends. I stepped onto the patio with my coffee, the air cool against my skin, replaying everything from the night before. I hadn't crossed any lines. But something inside me had shifted. That's when James reappeared, his smile easy but his eyes intent. "I was hoping you'd be alone," he said. "For what?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. He shrugged. "To see you." "You didn't come for Aaron?" "No," he admitted. "I came for you." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You're not just beautiful. You carry yourself like you've lived through things. That kind of grace, it's rare. Before I could process his words, another voice called out. I brought muffins. Theo strolled in, grinning, holding a bag like this was perfectly normal. Thought you might want some company. I blinked, caught between them. You two planned this? They laughed. Nope, James said, shaking his head. Guess we just had the same idea. Theo handed me the bag, his fingers brushing mine, lingering longer than necessary. I'm not sure what this is, I whispered carefully. You don't have to be sure, Theo replied smoothly. You just have to feel it. Before I could answer, Liam appeared, quiet as ever, his voice steady. Hey! Mind if I sit? The three of them gathered with me under the pergola, sunlight filtering through the slats. We pretended it was casual, just morning chatter. But it wasn't. There was a shift in the air, an energy thick enough to taste. They didn't look at me as a mom, or a hostess, or Aaron's caretaker. They looked at me as if I were something else entirely. When Aaron finally returned, the spell shattered. Laughter filled the space again, and I slipped back into the background, my rightful role. But later, as they said their goodbyes, something lingered. James held my gaze, steady. Take care of yourself, he said, his voice layered with meaning I couldn't ignore. Theo kissed my cheek lightly, his breath warm against my ear. Hope to see you again soon. Just us. And Liam, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me, his eyes soft, searching, and I understood more in that silence than in any words. That night, I stood in front of the mirror. Same face. Same lines. Same woman who had raised a boy into a man. But something was undeniably different. I was different. I hadn't asked for this, hadn't encouraged it. And yet, the ache inside me was real. The ache of being noticed. The ache of being wanted. The ache of feeling alive again. And once you've felt it, you can't unfeel it.